Mill lost it at my baby shower and insulted me. She even tried to name my baby, but ended up getting arrested after making a scene. I'm 29 and married to my wonderful husband Gary. We're currently pregnant with our first child. It's been a super exciting journey so far. Gary and I have been together for a long time and got married 4 years ago. We've been trying to get pregnant since last year, and we were overjoyed when we discovered my pregnancy 6 months ago. We've navigated the ups and downs of life, have been experienced side by side. The news of a little one on the way has added a whole bunch of happiness to our relationship. Every day brings us closer to meeting our little nugget, and we can't wait. The pregnancy has been a roller coaster of feelings, from the thrill of finding out to those sweet moments when you can feel your baby start kicking your stomach. Gary has been my rock throughout all of this. He's been to every doctor's appointment. We've been reading parenting books together, and he's even helping set up a cute nursery for our soon-to-arrive baby. We're in full baby mode now, talking about names, decorating the nursery, and making plans for the future. Gary is really excited to be a dad, and it warms my heart. He's all in, sharing the load of getting ready for the baby. We're facing the challenges and fun parts of pregnancy together, enjoying every moment as we get ready to meet our little one. We decided it was time to share the exciting news about my pregnancy with our family. We made sure we crossed the crucial first trimester milestone and were completely certain before spreading the joy to our loved ones. We had invited all our parents, close family, and friends for lunch. They arrived expecting a regular lunch, but upon noticing my growing stomach, their expressions shifted to expressions of joy and amazement. My mother started crying when she saw me and confirmed that I was indeed pregnant. She understood why we had kept the news secret. I was thrilled to be a grandparent. She totally understood why we'd kept it a secret and was really excited about becoming a grandma soon. Gary's mom, Barbara, had a totally different reaction. Instead of being happy for us, she got really mad when she found out we'd kept the pregnancy a secret. She felt left out and accused me of intentionally excluding her. Even though I tried to explain why, she kept looking mad and wouldn't talk to me. She was really upset about it. From the start, it was clear that Barbara was not happy about the news. She didn't speak to me all night and was disrespectful to my mom, who had always been kind to her. Barbara was on her phone the whole time and didn't join in with the family chat. She was clearly upset and annoyed that she hadn't been told about my pregnancy. She had lost precious time with a grandchild who hadn't even been born yet. My husband and one of his brothers picked up on her frustration as the tension escalated. I reached a breaking point and decided to step out for a moment to gather myself. My mother, who noticed my distress, came to comfort me until I felt composed enough to return as the night came to an end. Barbara made a deliberate point of saying goodbye to me last after observing the disapproving stares from my husband, sister, and others. My parents spent the whole day together, barely exchanging more than a few words. My husband walked them to the car, where they ended up having a heated argument. I could hear it clearly from the foyer. Barbara took the opportunity to vent her complaints about me, which made the situation even stranger. Thankfully, all our guests had left by then, so it was just me, my parents, and Gary and his parents. She angrily told him that she couldn't believe I had the audacity to keep this pregnancy a secret from her and that I did not consider family at all. My husband calmly let her know that he and I had both decided to wait until we were out of the danger zone and that everything was fine before sharing the news with everyone. Hearing this, Barbara started yelling. This is how their conversation went. Barbara, this is our grandchild we're talking about. I deserve to know from the very beginning. Gary, Mom, it's not about deserving or not. It was a decision we made together. She just wanted to be cautious. My husband should have trusted me with this. This is all her fault. This is when he lost his temper. Up until this point, he had held himself back. But when he heard his mother continue to accuse me, I watched his face get red in anger. He firmly told his mother that he didn't want to tell her as well, so if she was blaming me, she should blame him as well. He continued to tell her that she needed to get over it. This is ridiculous. Barbara told him that he should open his eyes because he was letting me control everything. As his mother, she should have been the first to know if her son was having a grandchild. My husband stood his ground and asked her to stop attacking me. He said he loved her, but she needed to leave and cool off before saying something she would later regret. Barbara stormed away, leaving my husband standing there visibly frustrated and disappointed with his mother's reaction. I was unaware. I was so upset that I didn't notice the tears streaming down my face. Gary saw how distressed I was and came to comfort me. He helped me back into the house. My parents stayed out of it until I felt better. Barbara didn't stop there. Later that night, I got a message from her. I was really worried about what it would say. It said, "I'm really disappointed in you. You knew about this and didn't tell me. I can't believe you would rob me of the joy of knowing about my grandchild from the very beginning. This is not how a family should operate. Instead of apologizing to me for your immature action, you are now causing a divide between me and my son. I'm ashamed of you." Her words cut through me, and I couldn't help but feel a mix of anger and hurt. I sent Gary a message, and he was really upset. He couldn't understand why his mother was reacting so badly and blaming me. Gary decided to call her and warn her not to send such negative messages, as they might upset me even more. He even said he'd cut her off if she carried on like this. Gary's words and angry tone seemed to have an impact on Barbara. She changed her tune and started to acknowledge her own role in the conflict. She suggested a solution. She said she'd only forgive us for what she saw as a slight if we let her throw us a baby shower. This sudden change left us both surprised and unsure about her motives. She kept saying how happy she'd be to throw a big celebration for me and her grandchild, and that she'd take care of everything. Gary looked at me, curious, but I was still unsure about her sudden change of voice. Barbara's sudden change of heart seemed more like a tactical move to regain control and assert her dominance rather than a genuine attempt at reconciliation, despite my reservations. Gary always wanted to find a middle ground and keep the peace, so he entertained the idea of accepting her offer. I expressed my concerns to Gary, stressing that accepting her offer might only fuel her belief that her behavior was acceptable. Gary understood my perspective but told me that he hoped that by allowing his mother to throw a baby shower for me, I reluctantly agreed to try to mend fences and create a more harmonious family environment before the baby arrived. Gary informed his mother that she could go ahead with planning my baby shower. She was overjoyed and expressed her gratitude for allowing her to take charge despite entrusting her with a responsibility. I had assumed there would be some level of collaboration where she would seek my input and consider my preferences. With the event still a month away, I anticipated more detailed planning to unfold. Over the next week, though, I was disappointed to see that my mother-in-law had taken control of the planning. She bought all the decorations, chose the games, and planned activities without consulting anyone, including me. When my mother asked her about it, my mother-in-law just told her that everything had been decided and that it would be a surprise for me. The lack of communication and consideration left me feeling disheartened and frustrated. The baby shower was shaping up to be a joyous occasion, but it seemed like my preferences and wishes were being overlooked. There was a mix of excitement and tension in the air. I arrived at the venue, a local banquet hall, and was greeted by my close friends, who were eager to celebrate the upcoming arrival of our little one. As I walked in, I couldn't help but notice the outrageous decorations that my mother-in-law had chosen. There were sea of brown and beige balloons adorning every corner, depicting it was a theme that she had created entirely herself. I didn't like the decorations at all. They looked like a misguided attempt at a safari theme gone wrong. The overwhelming presence of brown and beige clashed with the vibrant atmosphere I had envisioned for the celebration. I had imagined soft pastels and delicate touches for my baby shower, but it was clear that my mother-in-law had gone in the opposite direction. The tension in the air escalated when I saw an eye-catching display near the entrance. It was an enormous banner featuring, and it was a big collage of my husband's baby pictures with Barbara. Everyone looked confused because we couldn't understand why she would choose to display my husband's baby pictures during my baby shower. I looked at her questioningly, and she laughed and said that she expected our baby to look exactly like my husband and that she was very proud of how cute my husband was as a child, so she wanted to display it for everyone. I stared at her, trying to comprehend if she had actually lost her mind. It was clear that she was determined to make the day more about her own experiences as a mother than about the imminent addition to our family as more guests began to arrive. Their expressions ranged from confusion to polite discomfort. Looking around the room, the sea of brown and beige balloons coupled with the towering banner showcasing my mother-in-law and my husband created an ambience that was far from the elegant and joyous atmosphere I had envisioned for my baby shower. I exchanged apologetic glances with some of my friends who were on the same page when my mother walked in. She was shocked at what my mother-in-law had done to the venue. Then she looked at the banner and I could tell she was amazed at how bold it was to show a collage of my husband's childhood instead of celebrating my baby's arrival. My mother walked over to the banner and her expression changed from disbelief to determination. Without saying a word, she grabbed the banner and took it down. The room fell silent, and everyone looked at my mother. I was really grateful for her support. My mother-in-law was talking to other guests, but she looked shocked when my mother threw the banner in the bin. She asked, "What do you think? You're doing that?" The banner was a nice touch to celebrate the baby and the family. My mother, undeterred by the disapproval, responded with a firm yet composed voice. "This celebration is about my daughter and her baby, not a showcase of your personal achievement." The guests around them were drawn to this unexpected confrontation. My mother, sensing the attention shift, tried to regain control of the situation. "Well, I thought it would be nice for everyone to know who's responsible for this beautiful event. I was responsible for it. I threw this lovely event, and I wanted everyone to see how cute Gary was as a child," she retorted, attempting to mask her annoyance. Undeterred, my mother continued, "Barbara, you begged my daughter to allow you to throw this baby shower for her after how you behaved with her last time. This is my daughter's baby shower, not a platform for your personal agenda or attempt to steal the spotlight." The room hushed as the exchange unfolded, with guests glancing at each other in discomfort. My mother, she tried to take control of the narrative, but it didn't work out. She left with a forced smile and went back to chatting with other guests. The baby shower went on after that, and I tried to focus on the positive energy for my friends and family, despite the tension that lingered throughout the event. I thought there wouldn't be any more surprises from my friend, who seemed to be drinking a little too much for a baby shower. But there was nothing I could tell her anyway. We played various party games, and the guests seemed to be slowly starting to enjoy themselves. Then it was time for the gift opening session. I was pleasantly surprised by everyone's thoughtful gift for my baby. However, my anticipation turned into bewilderment as my mother-in-law handed me a conspicuously large gift box with an exaggerated G on her face. The room fell silent, and I felt a mixture of embarrassment and frustration. My mother looked at her angrily, and the guests exchanged awkward glances, unsure of how to react to this unexpected turn of events. In an attempt to calm the situation and avoid any further issues, I thanked her for the gift and tried to smile. I was trying to hide my frustration. Things got worse when it was time for the cake cutting. My mother-in-law had ordered a huge decorated cake. She made a big show of it, clinking her glass to get everyone's attention. I was starting to get annoyed. We all looked at her, waiting for her to speak. Barbara then announced that she had come up with the perfect name for our baby girl. I froze, remembering that we hadn't even settled on a name ourselves. She proudly declared that the baby would be named after her great-grandmother with a name that seemed straight out of a Victorian novel. I was shocked and a little irritated that she assumed she had the naming rights. I stepped in and explained that my husband and I wanted to pick our baby's name together. It was a choice we wanted to make together, but my mother-in-law wasn't having it. She insisted that she had the perfect name and that I should accept it because she'd spent so much money on the baby shower. I was shocked at her sense of entitlement. I firmly stated that only my husband and I had the right to name our baby. I told her that we had the right to name our baby and that this decision was ours alone. That's when Mill started yelling at me in front of everyone, saying that I was extremely disrespectful and should be grateful for all she'd done. She went on to criticize my upbringing, saying that I should be thanking her instead of denying her the right to name the baby. Barbara grew increasingly aggressive, pointing her fingers at my face. My mother stepped in to stand in front of me as a shield. Barbara kept shouting, saying she was the real mom because she'd given birth to my husband and it was his sperm that made me pregnant. It was awful to hear her say such horrible things. Even though my mom was trying to stop her, she just got angrier and kept insulting me, saying my mum had done a terrible job raising me. It was clear she'd had too much to drink, and trying to talk sense into her was pointless. The whole situation was getting worse. Everyone was getting uncomfortable and realizing that things were getting worse. I decided I'd had enough humiliation and wanted to salvage some dignity. I decided to walk out with the gifts my friends had brought, leaving behind the present that my mother had gotten me. However, Barbara, who was intoxicated, snatched the gifts back from my hand and tossed them to the ground, accusing me of being ungrateful and a witch who was coming between her and her son. The tense atmosphere drew more attention, and I noticed some people starting to. I asked one of my close friends to film the incident to try to contain the chaos. Barbara was undeterred, though, and kept hurling nasty accusations at me. She was creating a scene that no one could have anticipated when they arrived for what was supposed to be a joyous occasion. My frustration turned to anger, and as a last resort, I decided to call the cops to remove her from my vicinity. I was starting to feel extremely unsafe with her aggressive behavior. That's right, I had to involve the police at my own baby shower because of my toxic mill. I had to call the police at my own baby shower because of my ex-partner, who was acting very badly. When the officer arrived, my ex-partner started pointing fingers at me and saying that I was the one who had caused the chaos. Thankfully, the police were understanding and tried to reason with her. However, she was drunk and didn't listen to them, even starting to yell at the police, which didn't help her case. The situation got so bad that she was arrested on the spot. I left the event with my mother and close friends. All of us were shaken up by the incident. Since then, my husband and I have been dealing with the fallout. My mother-in-law is playing the victim and trying to garner sympathy from some family members who weren't present at the baby shower. My husband understands why I called the police, but he thinks I took it a bit too far. He believes that I could have called him or his father for help. Reddit Ida for calling the cops on my husband for ruining my baby shower and pretending to be the actual mommy of the baby. Update. I am overwhelmed with the response I have received since deciding to post about my baby shower. I would like to thank everyone for supporting my decision to call the cops. I had never witnessed such an aggressive reaction from my husband before. Given that I usually only saw him during holidays when I never spent a lot of time with him, the level of aggression he displayed at the baby shower left me genuinely concerned about the possibility of physical harm, especially considering the potential impact on my unborn child. Since the incident, every guest who attended the baby shower has reached out to express their support. Some of them have even shared recordings of the entire debacle, which I intend to show to my husband. My plan is to have a serious conversation with my husband in the coming weekend about the future with his mother. As mentioned earlier, I showed the recording to my husband. My husband and I had a serious talk about what had happened. I told him how his mother's behavior had got worse and worse, from the secret pregnancy to the crazy baby shower. I showed him the videos of her shouting and making accusations, and the strange gifts she gave. He was really shocked when he watched them. It made him face up to what she'd done. He realized that he had underestimated the situation and apologized to me for not calling the police sooner. He said he had no idea things would get this bad. He was sorry I had to go through all that. He said he had never imagined his mother could be this toxic. He admitted that she was very different from how he had always seen her. He reassured me that he was on my side and that my safety was his top priority. He told me he was on my side and that my safety and well-being, especially during pregnancy, were his top priorities. We then discussed the underlying issues, talking about how his mother's need for control and validation had overshadowed what should have been a joyous occasion. Gary shared his own concerns about his mother's behavior and acknowledged that it had crossed a line. I told him that, given how his mother had behaved, after she behaved like that in front of everyone, I told him I wanted to cut all ties with her. I said he could have a relationship with her if he wanted, but I and our child would not be a part of her life at least until his mother went for counseling to deal with her aggressive behavior. Hearing this, Gary said what his mother had done was beyond disgusting, and he was willing to cut ties with her as well. I assured him that he did not have to. I don't have to do anything, but my husband thinks his mother was disrespectful to me, so she shouldn't be in our lives anymore. He knows this isn't just about the baby shower and might be a result of long-standing issues. Gary has promised me he'll tell his mother about our decision and that cutting her off is up to him. I also asked him to let her know that if she shows up at our doorstep unannounced, I'll have to call the cops again. Update 3. It's been a month since my last update. I'm doing okay, and so is the baby. I'm excited to meet my child very soon. Since my last update, we've stopped communicating with Barbara. Gary has had a chat with his folks, and his dad said he'd make sure my mom understands the boundaries we've set and respects our decision now we've cut ties with Barbara. Our lives have changed a lot. The drama and toxicity are gone, so we're feeling more peaceful and tranquil. Gary and I can now focus on preparing for the arrival of our baby without worrying about anything else. We've been lucky to have such great support from friends and family during this tough time. My parents and close friends have been a huge help, offering encouragement and understanding. Even some family members who didn't know about Barbara's behavior have come forward to show their support after seeing the videos of the baby shower that have gone viral. We're not out of the woods yet, but this experience has made us stronger. It also showed us the value of facing challenges together as a team. We didn't take the decision to cut ties with Barbara without thinking it through, but it's been the right move for our well-being. There may still be challenges, but we're optimistic about the positive changes this has brought into our lives as we eagerly await the arrival of our little one. We're determined to build a loving and supportive family environment that prioritizes the well-being of both parents and child.